All right, so this week we're going to be talking about Intarsia, published in 2024 by Deep Print Games and Pegasus Spiele. The designer is Michael Kiesling, and the artist is Lucas Sigman. 2 to 4 players, about 60 minutes, ages 10 plus. The Café de Paris is closed for renovations because the beautiful parquet floor has fallen into disrepair. But to secure the contract and complete the ornate inlay work, you must prove yourself worthy. In Intarsia, players take on the role of woodworkers, trying to demonstrate their prowess by earning the most points and winning the job. Throughout the game, players will spend material cards to place wood elements onto their personal floorboards. At the start of each round, players get a starting hand card. Each player takes the 10 material cards depicted on the card, and the building phase begins. In turn order, players take building actions until they cannot or do not want to carry out a building action and must pass. To build, players must discard material cards to add a wood element to their floorboard. The number of materials required varies depending on the type of wood element. Frames, for example, require 1 material card of the ornament's color. Every piece that fits inside that frame must also use the same color materials as the frame. So, for example, players must discard 2 purple material cards to add a midsection to a purple frame. Wild material cards count as any color, and any 2 cards can substitute for any individual color card. To branch out further on your floorboard, you need to purchase connectors, which cost 4 material cards of a single color. Building more ornate wood elements, such as midsections, cores, tables, and connectors, allow you to take additional materials from the supply, and in addition to bonus materials, players may also be able to claim tools based on the patterns and inlays that they apply to their floor. Each tool belongs to a set, and the more tools you can acquire from the same set, the more points you'll score. After all the players pass each round, points are awarded based on the number of connectors each player has, and starting material cards are drafted to start the next round. The game ends after 3 rounds, and players earn points based on the size of each ornament on their floor. For example, a complete 4-piece ornament earns 12 points, and the player with the most points wins the game. All right, so that is Intarsia. Michael, what do you like about this one?
This is one of my favorite games that we brought back from Gen Con 2024 for the following reasons. I really enjoy the interaction between the tiles that I'm bringing in and putting down on my floor and the potential rewards that are out there with tools that can help me to maximize my floor and my scoring. And so there's that 2-part puzzle that's happening. And although the interaction there's not a ton of verbal interaction, there's enough interaction based on what other players are doing on their turns that I really enjoy that back and forth. Clearly, this game is going to draw a lot of comparisons to Azul because it has beautiful, pretty pieces and it's designed by the same designer. But to me, I get a very different feeling than when I'm playing Azul, both in the interaction and in the actual gameplay.
Yeah, there's certainly a subtle tension between the players as people are racing towards tools and pieces to put on their board. Those wooden pieces are restricted based on the number of players. So, you may want to have an orange frame, but there may not be any orange frames left. So there is a subtle race. There's a bonus track around the board that as you get connectors and things like that, you can move around there and get more cards back. To me, what I really like about this game is a game similar to the same thing that I like about a game like Tapestry is how far can I stretch my turn? How far can I go and kind of maximize that puzzle and that efficiency before I have to pass?
Well, and what I like too is thinking through into the next round. Yeah, I might be able to get 2 more turns this round. But if I hold on to the cards that are in my hand now, and then if I'm heading into the next round in better position, I'm actually going to be able to optimize, to have better plays. So it's that sense of when to spend and when to save.
Yeah.
And it hits very, very early in the game as well.
Well, and it's not, as far as the comparisons between that and Azul, this one is not as directly competitive as Azul, where you can really make turns that are just like, well, you're getting stuck with that. That is not really happening in Intarsia. There are moments where, oh, I was right about to claim that bonus or things like that, but nothing where anybody is outwardly, I did that to screw you over type of situation.
Yeah,
Right?
I agree with that, and I really like the reward payouts as well. And so there's this little tracker that moves, as Doug had mentioned, and when so I might think that I have a very specific reward coming, but then the player just before me actually activated that, and now it's moving to a different spot. And so, what am I going to do? Am I going to execute the decision that I had planned, or do I need to leverage some of that tactical thinking? And is there suddenly a better opportunity? It's not that the whole game just slows down and I have to wait until it's my turn to plan. It's more of a, well, the board is shifting, and how am I responding to that shift? And for those reasons, this is a game that really works for me.
Yeah. Well, and it's the not only is that they took the one that I was going to take, that bonus. What is weird about that or frustrating is you have to be thinking 2 to 3 turns down the line. And sometimes that bonus is like, okay, well, I get those 3 cards, then those 3 cards is going to give me my 4 to build a connector. When I do the connector, I'm going to get that, so you're constantly reevaluating and doing that cascading sheet of what the next steps and actions are. When you build, for example, the midsection, so there's a frame that is colored, and then you build the next piece in. That one requires 2 of the same color. And when you build that, you get a reward of 1 color, another color material back. You can't take the same one that you had just used. So it's, okay, I'm going to do that and spend these purple ones to again get a brown one, which then I'm going to use the 3 brown ones to build the intersection here. And so you're kind of doing all of that mapping. There's a lot of calculations that are, I kind of feel like a Beautiful Mind, that movie, while I'm playing this game, because you're like, beep, 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 beep. Rain Man, you're kind of always calculating, and not in a
Not where it slows down, though, to a halt. Not in the games we've played.
Not in a mathy way, and not in a really complex where you're just like, oh, what am I going to do? It's like, they're real fast options.
Yeah.
The only concern I have with this game for me is I really enjoyed playing it. It, of course, looks beautiful on the table, well done production, but the game doesn't feel that different to me from game to game.
Okay.
Yes, you start out with different starting cards each round, but once you kind of get into it, like I feel like each game kind of plays out the same, and so it doesn't necessarily draw me back over and over again.
And that's interesting. I think because and I'm not trying to be contrarian. I mean, have your feelings, Doug. Own your feelings. That's great. Where I was going to go, the game plays so differently at 2-player than it does 3-player. And I think I've been fortunate to play with different play groups, right? I've played this game with you. I've played this game with my wife. I've played this game with our game group at 3 players. And in each setting, it plays very differently.
So I agree that the way that the interactions change the different amount of players, correct? Right.
Yep.
I think what I'm saying when I feel like it's kind of the same is that the way I feel while I'm playing the game, like what I'm doing, is very samey. It's like,
sure.
I like the puzzle, but there's not a lot of new wrinkles to the puzzle every time that I play the game. It's still the same type of puzzle. I'm still feeling the same thing throughout it the entire time, even if it plays or feels different based on the interaction with the number of players.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It makes total sense. One of the things that I really like, and I just want to touch on a couple skills, I like how the tools chain together, right? So if you have the tools fire off in order from left to right, just as if you're reading across a page. And if you get 3 or 4 tools out, you can have some pretty big turns, and that is a a nice little feeling, a nice little bonus in game where points can be somewhat tight, and all of a sudden, you're getting a point here and 2 points there and another point.
Yeah.
Look, I got 4 points from putting that one tool down.
Yeah, if you have a saw and it scores 2 point or 1 point, the next time you play a saw, you get that 1 point again plus the points on the new saw. So and then if you do another one, you're getting the 1, the 2, and then the 3 or whatever. So you're getting 6 points the third one that you play down.
And the way that my compulsive brain works, I'm constantly chasing that, right, in the game.
Yeah.
So it's like, I got to get the biggest reward engine possible. And yet I tend to come up short. And that's, but it's that push to try to get a 5 point, a 6 point turn. Look what I could do. And the other thing that I was just going to say, I think this game can work well. It has worked well in my house with that 9 to 12-year-old. If you're willing as a gamer, as an adult gamer, to just pause and have a partial play. If you can get Intarsia out on the table and be like, hey, we might, in your mind think, I might only get half this game played, and that's okay. And then we'll come back to it. If you have a place where a game can live for up to a week and you're okay with that, this is a game that can work well in phases, that can work well, and we're going to play a round now, and then I'm going to teach it a game in this first round, and then we'll come back to it, because it does look beautiful on the table, and there is something, it can go, that 45 minutes to an hour. If you break that into 2 or 3 different sessions, it can work for a lot of families in a lot of settings like that. Not necessarily in a schoolhouse where you might only have 24 minutes and you can't leave it set up, established on the kidney table for a whole week. But that's just one thing that I wanted to say to our listeners as well.
Yeah, certainly a beautiful production and a game that I think is like, if it's raining outside and you're stuck indoors for the afternoon, like this is a curl around the table type of game that I think works really well. And I can see it being a lot of people's favorite game, right? If you enjoy Azul, but you want something that's a little bit less cutthroat and a little less backstabby, this is a great option for you to play. So if you like those type of feelings, that's I think the wheelhouse for this game.
Well, and on my shelf, it sits with Labyrinth, a game that we've talked about in the past, which is more of a kid's game. Adventureland, which is, to me, a step up from this and more of a strategy, and Gnome Hollow from last week. And your route building, it's beautiful, and it fits somewhere in between those games, at least in my brain. So, I love having this on my shelf, and I really look forward to future plays. I'm glad we got to talk about it in our Spotlight segment today, Doug.